Now let's talk about credit. My first boss in America, he called me. I forget the context, and he told me something that I never forgot. We were talking about cash and money, and I forget what it was. I always like money. Now I like it for a different purpose, so I can help people. Then I liked it, so I could spend it. And he said, no matter how much cash you have, with good credit, I'll always be able to afford more than you can. No matter how much cash you have, I'll always be able to afford more than you can. One of my friends actually sent me a quote that I like a lot about the difference between cash, that's money, and credit. And here's what it is: money talks, but credit has an echo. Money talks, but credit has an echo, which means credit is felt far and wide above and beyond cash or money. But what is this thing called credit? And what is it used for? Let's put it this way: credit is your ticket to a better life. Credit is a way for you to increase your standard of living, for you to live better. It's a way for you to afford things that you may not necessarily be able to afford. Think of going to college. There are many good people, many young children I run across all the time. They want to go to school. They want to go to Harvard. They want to go to Yale. They want to go to USD. They want to UCLA, USC. They can't afford the 50 or 60 or $80,000 a year it takes to go to college. How do they do that? They borrow. They borrow money to go to school. That's credit. They use credit for that. You want to buy a car. You see that nice car. It costs you 50,000, 80,000, 95,000, whatever it is. You maybe not don't have that cash. You need credit to be able to buy that car. You want to buy a home. Who's able to afford that three or four, $500,000 home, or $1 million home, $2 million home, whatever it is? Maybe you don't have the cash. Not today. Credit is what enables you to be able to afford certain things that you may not be able to afford now, so you can make a better life for yourself and your children and your family. So credit is extraordinarily important. It's good and helps you for tangible things like a home or a car or a house, but it's also for intangible things like affording, to go to school. You want to go to school. It's not tangible. It's intangible. It's a skill. It's an asset that's in you, not outside. So credit is good for that. Getting a job. Because of what I do for a living, we do a credit check for everyone. We deal with money and at the Pacific Group. With Suchi, we deal with money too. So we do a credit check for every single person. We can't, if somebody has bad credit, we work with them to improve their credit. But we can't really just hire people with bad credit. It's a sign of, maybe not being very responsible with money. And how do you hire someone who's not, or who hasn't shown a pattern of being responsible with money to manage money? But renting an apartment, like if you want to rent an apartment, sometimes you need credit. I remember my first apartment; they checked my credit. I had terrible credit. I had to big security deposit, utility bills, phone bills. If you need to get a phone or you want to turn your lights on and you have bad credit, they're going to make you pay a lot more. Credit is important, especially good credit. What does bad credit cost you? So, I don't know. I'm just going to have bad credit, right? I've had bad credit before, so I know what it cost me. What could bad credit cost you? Let me give you a quick example. Say you want to buy a house, right? And we have two people. The first person has good credit. The second person has bad credit. Bad credit, let's just say 625. And here, let's just call it 800, right? I'll define those terms for you now. So the good credit and the bad credit. You want to buy a house. Let's call it a $500,000 house. You put down $100,000, 20%, right? You can afford that, right? Now you have a mortgage that costs you $400,000. Do you know what the difference in interest rate is today between the person that has good credit and bad credit? For that person with good credit, it's 2.37% for a 30-year fixed rate over a 30-year period. For the person with bad credit, it's 3.96%. You're paying more than one and a half, about 1.6% more because you have bad credit versus good credit. How much does that turn out to be in cash over the next 30 years? 124,045. 125 $125,045. 125,045. Let's call it 125,000. That's on a mortgage or half a million. Double the mortgage, you double the amount of savings by having good credit. This doesn't count your student loans. It doesn't count how much you've lost on your credit card. It doesn't count on your line of credit, on your business loan, your SBA loan. Bad credit can really, really, really hurt you. So today, I'm going to teach you about the ways to not just check your credit, monitor your credit, figure out the different tips to improve your credit, to make sure you can set yourself up for a much, much better life for you and your family. Everything in America starts with credit. It's a little bit different from where I came from, where I grew up in, up till I was 21 years old in Nigeria. There, the credit system is not as widely used. So what happens is you want to go buy a car, you got to go to the bank. You got to get sacks of cash, man. You find people carrying all these massive bags of cash to go buy a car. So sometimes they get robbed. And that's why in many cases the crime rate is so high because there's not a lot of credit out there. And as a result, people tend to carry cash and it's a danger to themselves and their lives. So credit is a very, very important thing. Now, what does good credit mean? What does it mean? People hear good credit and bad credit, medium credit. What does good credit mean? So I'm going to give you a list of what is considered excellent. It's the top of the food chain. It's a Ferrari of credit. I'll give you one. The bottom. Okay. That's like I don't know, Kawasaki, motorcycle, used Kawasaki motorcycle, something like that. The top of the top of the top, the best. If you have 750, now credit ranges from about 300 to about 830, right? The higher you go, the better. If you have over 750, it's an absolute number, right? It's not a percentage or a dollar sign. It's 750 out of 830. You have excellent credit. You're gonna get the best rates for everything. You're gonna get higher credit, higher amount of credit, and the best rates for everything. Good credit, not excellent. It's a little bit below 700 to 750. It's good credit. You don't get the best of the best of the best of the best of everything, but you still get some really good things. And if you're between 700 and 750, you're right there. A few other things I'm going to teach you today can help you maybe just boost it a little bit to 750. Fair credit. Fair is sort of, I don't know, average. If you like average, then maybe you should aim to 650 to 700. I see no reason why you should aim for average, but if that's where you want to go, then I can't stop you. But if you're 650 to 700, you're not getting the best out of your credit. You're not getting the best things you should. You're not getting the lowest interest rates. You're not getting the highest amounts of credit. You're overpaying for things. Some of the steps I'm going to teach you today are going to help you boost that a little bit. Bad credit, 600 to 650. Bad credit pretty much means you are locking yourself out of the American system. It means you're going to pay the most expensive interest rates. It means you're going to not be able to afford the best things. It means you're pretty much reducing your quality of life by having bad credit. 600 to 650. Work with me to improve that credit. Anything below 600, you got a serious issue, serious problem. Tax lien, multiple missed payments and all those things that, we can start today to change. Now, let me share something with you about the disparity about credit dispersed by race. I just want to give you a sense of how, this shows for everyone, Black, white, Hispanic, everybody. But again, we do have to recognize that a lot of Black people have been left out of the American system. A lot of Hispanics too, but especially Black people. And let me show you what that looks like. So I looked at the credit by race in America. Here's what you find. The average is about 732 credit. For Asians, it's 745. For whites, it's 734. For Hispanics, it's 701. For Black Americans, it's an average of 677. 677. That's about 65 points lower than the average. Is it any wonder why Black people get the worst interest rates on mortgages? I mean, there's redlining and there's racism, there's all that, but at the end of the day, bad credit also accounts for it. We have to boost our credit. You got to boost your credit so you can afford better things, a better way of life, a better quality of life, cheaper stuff. You can take that excess money and go spend it on saving for you in your 401k, saving for your kids' college fund so she doesn't have to take a loan, traveling, starting your own business. These things I'm teaching you will help you save real cash. So yes, last week I gave you homework. I hope you did your homework, because to keep me motivated, because I do a lot of work. I know a lot of this stuff, but I still do a lot of work because, I end up talking to, 10, sometimes thousands, sometimes tens, hundreds of thousands of people on these shows over a period of time. So it's important that the things I tell you are really solid things that you can use. They're based in facts and in a lot of cases, my own experience. So I gave you homework last week. I said, go check your credit score. I want you to I'm going to make this very interactive, by the way. Go check your credit score. So I'm seeing all your comments. I see a lot of questions. I'm going to answer a lot of your questions today. We're going to make this interactive. But first, I hope you checked your credit score. I told you where to check your credit score. Well, the first place you can check your credit score is your bank. If you have a bank or you have a credit card, those often offer, hey, here's my, you can check your credit. Check your credit score. I also gave you a place, annualcreditreport.com. You deserve to get at least one of your credit reports every year. From all three of them to 3 credit reports every year. Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Go to annualcreditreport.com. It's free. Don't let them upsell you on anything. They want you to, pay for a subscription. Nah, you deserve to get. If you pay for a subscription, cancel it within the first month. Get your credit score, but don't pay. Make sure you don't pay. Got to minimize expenses over here. So I also gave you a phone number that you could call. 877-322-8228. Check your credit. So for those who check their credit, what was your credit score? I'm looking at you, Oludola Sadipe. Mine is a Farad, 831. Congratulations. That's actually much higher than the top. The highest credit score I ever saw was somebody who was about 875. That was more than the actual. It's actually possible to get more than 100%. You know how you go to school, you score and 100% is the top. With credit, you can actually go beyond 130. Who else checked their credit? Don't be shy. I'm looking over here. I can't see anybody else. Don't tell me you didn't do your homework. I'm going to hold you, as you hold me accountable to give you good information, I'm going to hold you accountable to do the work that I ask you to do. Who else checked their credit? I only see 831. Any other person check their credit? Okay. So if you didn't check your credit, please go to annualcreditreport.com and check it. It's important for you to know where you fit, because it's important to know where to start growing from. So the next thing we're going to talk about is after you check, I see Alexander, 770. Congratulations. That's amazing. Henry Okohar, 720. Spectacular. That's great. That's good. Fine Jostling, 704. Amazing. You see? We have so many people. Somebody just corrected me. It's actually 750. That's the max. I slip a tongue. It's 750. That's the max, not 730. Credit. Thanks for that. Who was that? Sadipe. Fine Jocelyn, 704. That's great. I mean, you guys are doing good. I guess the 650s are not, we're not disclosing, which is okay, as long as you promise to work with me to increase that credit score. So, composition of credit scores. Let me kind of walk you through what makes up your credit score, right? What is the composition? How do they determine 604 versus 704 versus 804? How do they do that? Well, there's five different, what do you call them? There's five different ways. I'm going to tell you those five different ways. I'm going to tell you what percentage of your score they account for. And then I'm going to tell you ways you can game the system. Smart ways, legal ways, you can game the system to actually improve your credit score. So the first is payment history. That's just paying your bills, making sure you pay your bills. They're just checking your payment history. That accounts for 35% of your credit score. Credit utilization rate. That's the amount you owe. Let's say you have $10,000 credit limit on your credit card, and you spend $3,000 that month, and your total balance on the $10,000 card is not $10,000, but it's $3,000. That means you have a 30% credit utilization rate. Your utilization rate accounts for 30% of your credit. So payment history is 35%. Payment utilization rate is 30%. The length of your credit history, how long you've had your credit history, the longer the better, accounts for 15%. 15% of your credit. So it's important for you to be able to have a longer credit history because it helps you a lot with your credit. The mix of your credit. Mix means you have a student loan, you have one loan, that's sort of good, but it's not good enough. If you have a student loan, which I don't endorse student loans, we're trying to eliminate student loans, but I'm just using that as an example. You have a student loan and you have a credit card, that's two. That's a mix of two. That's better than just having one. You have student loans, a credit card, and you have a mortgage. That's three. That's better than having two or better than having one as long as you pay them on time. So the mix of your credit is very, very important. New credit, that's applying for credit, accounts for about 10%. And again, I heard somebody talk about soft inquiry. There's a question about soft inquiry. Darlene, 764, congratulations. That's amazing. See, I love this. I love when, we have smart people who already know what to do. They can actually teach the ones on here and to supplement some of the things I'm saying and encourage them, the ones who are in the 600s, to improve their scores. So somebody asked a question about, and this has to do with new credit, right? Applying for credit. That's the fifth, a variable, and it affects 10% of your credit. Now, what does that mean? When you're applying for credit, you go to a credit card company, or you're applying for a mortgage or car payment. The car company or the company that's giving the credit for you to buy the car or the house wants to know whether you're good credit or not. So they will ask the credit reporting agencies, one of the three, to give them a report. When they do that, you get a hit on your credit score. It brings it down a little bit. 8 points, 10 points, 12 points, brings it down just a little bit. That's called a hard hit. Boom. It's called a hard inquiry. That's the one we want to try to avoid. Then there's the soft inquiry. Those are ones that are related to things like, say, maybe getting a job, something like that, where your employer, like us, wants to know if you're responsible with money, especially for jobs that involve working with money, and they check your credit to see that. That's called a soft inquiry, which means they check it, but it doesn't ding your credit score. So those are the five ways. Those are the five ways that the credit reporting agencies use. One is payment history, paying your bills. Number two is credit utilization, how much of your bills, how much of your credit you're using. Length of credit history, the longer the better, within certain limits. The credit mix, whether you're mixing, you're just doing one or you're doing multiple. Multiple is better than one. And then your new credit, applying for new credit. Now, we learned the difference today of soft inquiry and a hard inquiry. So, now that hi Jocelyn, I see you checked you did your homework. Congratulations, 764. That's amazing. Darlene, you too. Now we are now that you've already checked your credit score because you did your homework, we're going to talk about the ways, wherever you are in your credit life, your credit history, ways to improve your credit. And these ways I'm going to teach you could improve your credit by 50, 100, 150, maybe even 200 points. But you have to follow them. For some of you, one may apply because you're already doing the others. For some of you, five may apply. For some of you, all of them may apply. But it's very, very important for you to listen to these things because, like we said, credit is the very basis. It's the very basics in America of your financial life. So, number one, if you don't already have a credit card or a home loan or a car note or a student loan, in short, if you don't already have credit, you got to start. You got to start now. You got to start now. You got to start building your credit now. But how do you build your credit without credit? Think about it. It's a catch-22. If you don't have credit, no one gives you a credit card. If no one gives you a credit card, you can't build credit. How does this catch-22 work? Well, there's ways to game the system. The first way is to ask someone who already has credit, like your mom. For those of you in college, like your dad, like your cousin, like your sister, like your godmother, somebody who already has credit to make you an authorized user. What that means is they're going to add you as a user on their credit facilities, on the credit cards, and things like that. Car notes. You don't have to have access to the card. They don't have to give you that number. They don't even have to give you the access to the credit report. They can just add you as an authorized user, and in the same way, that credit, and as long as they're paying their bills on time, as long as that whenever there's a hit on their credit, a positive hit that, oh, your mom paid her bill, you'll also get a hit on your credit. That is a positive and an easy and a cheap and a painless way to start building credit. The second way, if you don't have credit, we're going to talk about if you already have credit and if it's not that good, or even if it's good, how to improve it. But if you don't have credit, the second thing you can do is to apply for what we call a secure credit card. What a secure credit card means, I'll explain in a second. But first of all, let me explain what a credit card is. Most of you already know it. A credit card is simply a line of credit that's given to you in the form of a plastic card. Yes, it is, form of a plastic card that gives you the ability to borrow up to a certain amount within a frame of time. So let's say you have a credit card that's $10,000, right? That's your credit limit. You swipe and you swipe and swipe up to $10,000. It's unsecured, which means it's not secured by anything. Not your house, not your cash, not your car, nothing. It's different from a mortgage or a car that's secured by an asset. A credit card in general is unsecured. Well, it's unsecured for people who already have credit. But if you don't already have credit, there's a trick. You can get a credit card, but it's going to cost you. What? Go to your bank and tell them, I want to open up a secure credit card. That's how I actually got started. Here's $500 or $1,000 or $500, whatever it is, $250 you can afford, and they'll tell you their limits. They'll take your $500, they'll put it in a bank account, earning interest. It's not a lot, but it's something. And based upon that $500 you put in that account, they'll give you a $500 credit card. Now you can go spend the credit card, and as long as you pay your bill on time over a 6 month or year, 2 years, depending on the time frame of the bank and the policy of the bank, they'll release your $500. Now it's yours. Now you still have a $500 limit on the credit card. You have the $500 that's been released, and now you have credit. Hallelujah. So the second way, if you don't already have credit, apart from becoming an authorized user on somebody else's account, is to get a secure credit card. If you don't have the ability to get a secure credit card, for some reason you don't have the cash, or you don't have anyone who you can become an authorized credit user on, then you can apply for a credit card yourself. I want to give you two companies that are pretty good that can help you get credit cards. And these are two companies that we're unaffiliated. We don't get paid anything. I don't receive any endorsements from anyone. This is, I do this because it's the right thing to do, not because anybody pays me anything. So I'm going to endorse, well, not endorse, but I'm going to recommend two cards that you can use. You can go test them out. And the reason why I'm bringing them up is because, one, there's no annual fee. You don't pay anything on the credit card every year. You don't pay a fee. And the second is the interest rates are reasonable. And so the first one is this. It's by Discover. It's Discover IT. Discover It. Just Google Discover It. Discover IT. That's the first credit card. It's a nice starter credit card. You need to have good credit, or at least you need to have something. Even if you don't, then you get a lower limit. But it's a good card to have because there's no annual fee and the interest rate is more reasonable than many of the others. The second one is Capital One Quicksilver. Not Capital One Quicksilver One. Quicksilver One charges you an annual fee. We don't want to pay any more than we should. So Capital One Quicksilver is a good starter credit card for you to go get, right? So let's go down the list. So now that you've decided to go get your credit card, now that you decided to build your credit, let me talk to those who already have credit and who maybe don't have great credit, or who already have great credit, but who want to increase their credit score to make it better so they can get cheaper loans and more access to credit facilities. Number one, the first and most important thing you can ever do, pay your bills on time, every time. It is so important to do that because that little ding on your credit report, that little ding, that little check mark, you look at your credit report, it's all green, and it's that little red check mark. It's like, and it brings your credit score down. It's like, I wish I hadn't done that. So don't pay your bills on time. If you can't pay your bill, usually a creditor will give you 30 days, right? 30 days to pay the bill. It's general. After 30 days, if you can't pay your bill, call them. Pick up the phone. Hello, Mr. Credit, I can't pay my bill. I ain't got the money. Help me out. Don't report it on my credit report. Many of them would be like, okay, let's make a credit arrangement. Many creditors don't necessarily want to ding you, but you got to communicate with them. Call them. Number one, if you still can't pay your bill, what you want to do, many people wait till the end of the month to pay that big bill, the $500, $1,000, $5,000 bill. And then, maybe you have the carburetor go out, or you have to change the water cooler in the house. Now you don't have the cash to pay. Instead of waiting to pay one lump sum, maybe what you want to do is pay over a period of the 2 weeks. Before you get your next paycheck, pay $50 here on Tuesday. On Thursday, pay $100. Pay over a period of time instead of that one lump sum. Pay, not necessarily daily, but during the week, maybe 2 or 3. When you get a little bit of extra cash, pay it off. A little bit of extra cash, pay it off. When you get your salary, paid. That way, you don't have to always come up with that lump sum at the end of the month, which sometimes hurts you because you can't afford to make that payment. Dispute inaccurate information on your credit score. Check your credit report. I showed you how to check your credit report. But please, if you have stuff that's not supposed to be on there, there's so many different things. People's reports I've seen with what I do for a living, and a lot of that stuff is stuff that either they didn't take out or stuff that is inaccurate. They paid that bill. They said they didn't pay that bill because the bill was lost in the mail. Whatever it is, please check your credit score. And if you find something that's not yours, dispute it. Take it off. It's the easiest way to take it off. As a matter of fact, there's a whole different industry that's been built around credit repair. Do you know what a lot of these people do? All they do every month is send a letter to the credit reporting agency saying, take that bill off, take that bill off, take that off, take that ding off, take it off. And after a while, you see what the credit reporting agency does is they go to the lender and they give them 30 days to respond. And after a while, if you keep harassing that lender and saying, after a while, the lender just kind of forgets about it and says, let these people go until it drops off. There's a whole different industry that's built on that. We don't necessarily endorse that. You don't have to pay money to have your credit repaired. You can do it yourself. And so please make sure to check your credit score. There's your credit report for inaccuracies. 3 different places: Equifax.com, Experian.com, TransUnion.com. Please make sure to check it. So the first thing we just went over how to improve your credit is by paying your bills on time. And I give you a few strategies to pay your bills, even if you can't afford to pay those bills. But please make sure to keep paying your bills because it's the most important. It accounts for 35%. The next largest part of your credit is credit utilization rate. How much of credit do you use? I gave you an example. You got a $10,000 credit limit. You spend $30,000, $3,000, 30,000. Yeah, like that's going to happen. You spend $3,000. That's 30%. You want to try to always want to try to keep your credit utilization. That's how much of your credit, your total credit limit that you're spending, maximum of 30%. Better yet, if you can keep it down to 10% or below, that's great. I know it's hard. So you got a $10,000 credit card. If you can keep your credit, the amount you use, to $1,000 or less, look, even if you run up over $1,000, pay it off. Pay it off before it hits your credit. Pay it off before your due date. Before the date it closes. Your cycle closes. Try to keep it below 10%. I'll tell you something. For those people who have credit of 800 or more, the average person uses less than 10%, 8 to 9, 10% of their credit. So please try to keep your credit lower, your credit utilization lower. Don't close old credit cards. I have a lot of people, they have 3, 4, 5 credit cards. Some are from 19 years ago. They're like, I don't need this card. I'm going to shred it. Don't. You know why? Apart from the fact that you're lobbing off some of that credit limit, which goes into the calculation of your credit utilization, you're also going to be affected by the third thing I talked to you about, which is the length of your credit history. The length is very important. If you have 1-year credit, I don't care how great it is, and I have 10-year credit, mine is better than yours, as long as mine is clean. And if somebody has 20 years of paying their bills on time, they can afford, they'll get almost anything. So make sure to always pay your bills on time, keep your utilization low, and don't close old credit cards. Just don't use them. If you have to use them, pay them off every month. Charge $50 on it every month, and then just pay it off. That way, at least it's helping your credit, not just sitting there static or being closed to be used against you. Credit mix up your credit, mix it up, please. If you have a credit card, well, go get us get a loan, a fixed rate loan. When you buy a mortgage, that's great. Student loans, that's good. Mix of credit is good. Try to mix your credit as much as you can. Now, if you don't need a house or a car, you don't go buy a house or car just because you want credit. No, just because you want to raise your credit score. That's letting the tail wag the dog. But please try to mix credit because it's very, very good. Now, get rid of, how all these pre-approved mail comes, this mail, all this stuff comes in, and then you're tempted, and then you want to apply for, wow, I get, free, 6 months of no charges, and then you apply, you keep applying for credit. Get rid of all of that. You don't want any of that, right? Get rid of all of that. Here's how to do that. I'm gonna show you a way to opt out of all those free and all those pre-approved credit things. It's called optoutprescreen.com. www.optoutprescreen.com. It helps you pretty much get rid of all of the offers that you get every week and every month. I mean, I get tons of them. I just opted out and boom, they're all disappeared. Document your income. Now, this one is it's a necessary one, but I know it's a little bit controversial. Many people watching are in industries where they receive cash. Hairstylists, barbers, makeup artists, nannies, people like that, waiters. If you work in the hotel industry, the leisure industry, you receive tips. And many people, for whatever reason, don't disclose that income. Well, it's important for you to disclose your income because and file a tax return because that's actually a really, really good thing that helps your credit. When you disclose your income and you file a tax return, it puts you on the map. And not just puts you on the map, it also gives you access to Social Security benefits and Medicare benefits. We'll talk about all of those over the next few weeks and months. But the above are just a list of a few different things that you can do to improve your credit. I want to stop here. I've said a lot. I tend to talk a lot, so if you don't stop me, I'll just keep yapping. That's why we want to keep this show to about 30 minutes maximum. I know we're working on it. What are we at? 45, 50 minutes. We're going to be working to make this show shorter. But I do want to take a few questions from some of our. I want to make this interactive. I want you to talk to me as I talk to you. I want to, I read your comments on social media. Whether it's LinkedIn or it's Instagram or it's Twitter. I don't always respond, but I read every single one of them. I read, so please keep them coming. What questions do you have for me? Let's see. Candace said, "Just paid my credit card bill off. Good for you." Credit card bill. We'll talk about credit cards and as a whole segment, but credit cards are probably one of the worst type of credit that you will ever have. It's also one of the most necessary, right? Because it's too inconvenient to carry cash. It's also not very safe, so it's easier to, and it's not the best to swipe your debit card because the money comes directly out of your bank account. But with a credit card, if there's fraudulent charge, you can always dispute it. So credit card is easy. But by jolly, those credit cards I've seen as 18%, 22%, 30, almost 30% rate of interest on credit cards. Yikes! So being able to pay off your credit cards as soon as you're able to pay them off at the end of the month is a very, very good thing. So great job paying off your credit card. Let's see what else. Which other questions do we have? David, do you believe in a signature loan for one to establish credit? Now, I don't really know what a signature loan is. I know what a loan is. And let me put it this way. It's important for you to start your credit if you don't already have credit. Whether it's through a credit card or whether it's through a student loan, which is the way most kids tend to get introduced very rudely into the world of credit, or it's through some other type of installment loan, or it's through being put as an authorized user, or it's through a secure credit card. It doesn't matter. Start, and if a loan is the easiest way for you to get credit, please do it. Let's see who else. Who else has a wow? No, Candice, you're welcome. Okay, so I think we've covered quite a little bit today. Next week we're going to talk about banking and banks. I can't begin to tell you how much wasted money goes to the wrong banks. Many people tend to start their lives, whether it's after college or they get married or whatever it is, they'll start with a bank. And they'll stay with that bank for the next 5 or 10 or 20 years, essentially giving cash to the bank. Unless you're a major shareholder in that bank, there is no reason for you to be giving all that cash to a bank. And I don't mean the cash you put in, I mean the cash that's lost when you don't get the amount of interest that is due you. So here's the homework for next week. It was sort of the same homework I gave you last week, but today we were talking about credit. Here's the homework for next week. Go to this place called bankrate.com. Go search for bank interest rates on savings accounts and credit and savings and checking accounts. And then go to your bank and call them, or go online and see how much you're getting paid in interest. Then go to bankrate.com. Bring those two numbers next week. You got to do your homework. Bring those two numbers next week. And then I will show you how to make as much as $38,000 more over a period of time simply by changing your bank account to a much smarter bank. That's it for today. My friends, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you next week.